Sarah? Yeah, Laurel, you were the one who wanted me to go shirtless, man. I can't do. All y'all in the mastermind, get ready to raise your hand and jump in. Hey.
It's happening.
One of my favorite people on this planet.
There we go. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. What's new with you, Evan?
I don't know. Stuff, man. Videos, movement makers, built to serve. Talking to you, man. That's what's new. I'm talking to Ryan. It's been a while.
I knew that would be a tough question. It has been a while. Look at my shirt. Every time.
Oh, snap. What a story, dude. That was a great story. I'm glad we had that on camera.
Agreed. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Evan gave me a little push. Helped me move in the direction of my dreams. Helped me believe a little more.
And he was very against calling himself an entrepreneur. Not even just the idea of doing something with Nick and doing book thinkers, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't like that word. And now look at the shirt.
It's so ironic because entrepreneurs, most of them, are the ones who haven't yet reached success. You know, like they're like me. That's most entrepreneurs. And yet I had this imposter syndrome around. I haven't been successful yet. So who am I to be an entrepreneur? But that's like 80% of entrepreneurs. 95%. All right, you ready to dive in?
I do it. Wherever you want to go, let's go.
All right. All right, Evan. So we're doing a book. I think Nick shared it with you. It's called Talk to Everyone. It's a parable for teenagers. And the subtitle is You Can Learn Something from Everyone You Meet. And so we're doing our best to actively listen to people like yourself and see what kind of wisdom we can get in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Normally 17 and a half minutes, but I think you gave me 25. I appreciate it. And so you may also see people jump in with questions. They're part of the mastermind group. And yeah, man, if hopefully you'll be able to catch on some wisdom. At the end, I'll summarize it and let me know if my summary is good enough.
I'm ready.
All right, right on. Hopefully we get a character in the book named Evan. So first question, Evan. What did your parents teach you growing up?
Ooh, what a question. I mean, they're on the wall behind me here, too. That's me when I'm 8 or 9 and my parents above me. The most important thing they taught me was you're Evan Carmichael. You could do anything you believe that you can. And anytime I didn't believe in myself, anytime I struggled, anytime I was sad, they would always remind me of that. I remember one moment I was 8 years old, and there was the Summer Olympics, and I'm Canadian. So Ben Johnson was it's probably way before your time. Anyway, Ben Johnson was a 100-meter sprinter. He's like the Usain Bolt of Canada. And he won the gold medal in the race. It was this big hype. You know how like before any event, they're always hyping up the events where your athletes are going to win. And Canadians, we win hockey. Winter Olympics are more our thing. Summer Olympics we're not as good at. So, you guys have your basketball and we're always losing to the Americans and everything. But this year was supposed to be the year for Ben Johnson to win. And then he won. And it was such a big deal across the country. And then it turned out that he cheated. And I was devastated, Ryan. I was devastated. I was in tears. Like, I couldn't believe it. When you're 8 years old, you get emotional. And my mom went and got me baseball cards. And the Toronto Blue Jays came to Toronto the next year in 1989. And I went to the opening game and hung out with my dad watching the baseball. And I got super into baseball cards to the point where my parents would take me to spring training. My mom took me to spring training for a whole bunch of years in Florida. So we'd fly to Florida and go meet all the players. And I'd have stacks of cards and balls to get signed. Every weekend we would go to a flea market that was 3 hours outside of my town so that I can go negotiate and sell my baseball cards. You can really windy on your end. Is there a lot of wind?
To the point where you can't hear very well? Or there's
like
sound?
it's like now it's fine. Yeah, it was getting like really noisy. So every weekend we would go 3 hours out of town to go to this trade show, and I would sell my baseball cards, and I'd negotiate with. I'm now 12, 13 years old. I've been negotiating with people who are 40, 50, 60 over 25 cents, you know, and somebody I remember gave me $1 coin. Our coins are coin. Our dollars are coins. And it had like gum or dirt on the back of it. And said, okay, I'll give you $1 for that card, but it's got all this stuff on it. It's like, all right, whatever. I'll clean out the gum and the dirt. Why not? It's $1. It's still $1. I bought that card for 10 cents. Let's go. I'm rich. And so what I loved about them was they never really had, I mean, they didn't care about baseball cards, but they would always spend time with me to take me to places and opportunities to explore my interests. So whenever, it's why they're on the wall behind me, you know, whenever I don't know what to do, whenever I struggle, whenever I'm insecure or unsure of myself, I remind myself of what my parents' most important lesson: you're Evan Castrillo Carmichael. You could do anything you believe that you can.
And what are your interests today? Like, what is do you have one focal interest?
Solving the world's biggest problem, which is people don't believe in themselves enough. And that's what I wake up every day trying to do. Whether it's through my videos, through my books, through being a part of other people's books, you know, like this parable, until the day I die, man, helping people believe in themselves more. And what's awesome is hearing the stories. Like, some people get these quick hits, but then other people, it's why I love coming. This is like our 3rd or 4th time or whatever doing something. It's great to see the progress. Even just the like, hey, check out my shirt. I'm an entrepreneur, you know, and remembering back to our first conversation where I didn't even know who you were. We started talking about it. It's awesome seeing people grow and improve and learn and get better, and the impact that then they have, right? Like, I can't solve the world's biggest problem on my own. It's all of us. And how many people have you impacted now that I don't even know of because of the journey that's happened over the past couple of years since our, you know, first conversation, where you were on the fence? He's like, I really like this job. This guy's been my mentor. He let go of everybody at the company in sales except for me. Something like that. Am I close? It's something like that.
Yeah, you're right on.
I don't want to let him down, you know. And then you went and had the conversation. You made it happen. And that stuff sticks. Like, I don't know how long that conversation was, a couple of years. I don't even remember what day it is. In my Instagram this morning, I said, Happy Wednesday. And it's a Thursday. But I remember that from like 2 years ago, because that stuff matters. So that's what I'm trying to do, man. Every day, wake up and however I can help, however I can inject belief into other people, because they're going to go off and do it. Like, it's this ripple effect that just ends up going off and happening. Seeing everything you've done is great. Now I'm like a tiny percent, like 0.5%, you know, of your success. I just gave a little bit of push and you went off and did your thing, but I'll own my 0.5%. Like, I helped do that. Yeah, baby, let's go.
Yeah, and you should, man. I mean, and life is way better now. As great as it was then, it's way better now, because I'm moving in the pursuit of what my most intentional life. And I have a question for you. So it sounds like your network supported your interest growing up. Who is in your network still does that today? I can imagine. Like, is the network a huge aspect of Evan Carmichael's ability to continue to help other people believe? And if so, like, are there certain people in your life that are really making a significant difference?
So at the beginning, I had no network. It was just my parents. And they actually fought to protect me, which, again, it's like, man, what amazing humans. I remember there was one art class that I had that the teacher failed me, and I had to draw a picture of like a sailboat in a window or something. So I drew a picture of the sailboat in a window, and then I failed. And my parents went in to ask why. Like, why did you fail him? Like, what did you ask him to do? It's like, well, I asked him to draw a sailboat in a window. And he's like, well, that's what he did. It's like, yeah, but he didn't add other stuff to it. Well, but that wasn't the instruction. And so anyway, they got into a big fight. And my parents pulled me out of that school and took me somewhere else. but they always, you know, like when you're young, I know you're kind of making this book towards teenagers. When you're young, you don't have much of a network, and your network are your teachers, and your network are your friends, and your network are your parents or your uncle or your aunt or whoever. And most of my network wasn't actually super helpful for me. You know, my teacher there was not helpful for me, but my parents fought to protect me, I guess, until I learned to protect myself. Because when you're, you know, 8 years old or 9 years old or whatever I was, you know, you don't know. Adults are always right, you know.
Yeah.
In school, I think too, there was one teacher in particular, Madame Farr, in my last year of high school that really had a big impact on me and really helped me go from being, I was a B and C student, so I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't great. And in talking to her every week, she helped turn me into an A+ student.
Mm.
And it was all just belief and just mindset and just, yeah, nothing like go and just study harder and you'll get it. You know, the typical stuff. She just made me believe in myself more. And so I think we all have people in our network, even when you're young, that you can gravitate towards if you want to. They just may not be the people closest to you. I was fortunate that I had good parents, but you don't need to have good parents. There's lots of people who have garbage parents and they still go off and succeed because they found that source somewhere else. Maybe that's their uncle, maybe that's their friend's dad, you know, rich dad, poor dad. It was his friend's dad, that whole story. And I think now online, right? Like maybe Ryan's your mentor because you see what he did and how he shows up. And so you could choose now who you follow on YouTube, who you follow on Instagram to be a part of your network. A lot of the people who push me now, I don't know personally. Warren Buffett pushes me. Kanye West pushes me. Oprah Winfrey pushes me. Like I've never met these people, not yet. But they push me because I watch the videos on my channel. I make my videos for me. And they inspire me to want to do something bigger. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what are your favorite YouTube videos that you created? Like, if you were to give me like 2 of your favorites.
One of them was I got back from a meeting where I was helping entrepreneurs, and it felt like I was just fighting with everybody. You know, it's like the path seemed so clear for me what they should do next, and I told them, and nobody wanted to do it. And I was really poor at articulating it probably, and I didn't have the tools. I had the clarity to like, here's what you need to do, but then I couldn't say it properly. I just came home and was so frustrated. And I sat down on my floor at midnight or whatever, and I pulled out my laptop and I just filmed a rant video. And it was the first time that I was not concerned about what I was saying and the perfect words, and I just kind of let it out. And if you look at my early videos, there's no emotion. It's very robotic. It's perfect scripts. It's memorizing things. It's a lot of voiceover because I was too afraid to show up on camera. And so that was the first time that I did. You know, I was like, that was what was on my mind. It was emotional. We let it loose and let's go. And that kind of unlocks something. Say, oh, like that's what it feels like. Oh, okay, I could probably do that again. I don't have to be pissed off every time, but I could lean into an emotion. I could lean into gratitude, or I could lean into service, or I could lean into happiness just as easily as that negative experience. That's not a super popular video on my channel. You know, nobody was watching my channel back then, but it was really impactful one for me to just have the courage to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you said one, you know, I recognize that you took accountability for not relaying the perfect message. Because a lot of times I say things that are half-baked, and it's like, I don't understand why this person doesn't understand. But then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm just not relaying the message appropriately, or maybe it needs to be relayed several times or maybe the conversation needs to deepen for it to actually start the conversation. The other thing I like is you lean into the imperfect. That's one thing I've realized about you. You tell me and Nick that all the time. It's like, it's okay to not be perfect. You know, growth isn't perfect. I'm going to see if someone in the mastermind has a question here. Let's see what we got. Anyone want to come up? If so.
What's the mastermind all about?
Dude, so we have 15 people, and we're all interviewing awesome people like yourself and, Brian Smith, the founder of UGG, and Rob Angel, the founder of Pictionary, Bob Proctor, just awesome people, and trying to take as much wisdom from these conversations as we can. And so it's a combination of questions from myself and then people in the mastermind. And we all have different people who we want to ask questions for. Mine was yours because you've been such a big influence on my life. But we got Phil Gabbard coming in. What's up, brother?
Hey, good morning. Hope I am.
What's up, Phil?
If you guys can hear me okay. Evan, thanks for joining us. And I'm part of the mastermind. I've been on this journey with Ryan and Nick, and it's really exciting to have your contribution, words and so forth. So I'm an author. I'm a digital marketing agency owner, and I guess sharing everybody's journey to where we are now and where we can be is part of the exciting thing for me. So I'm going to have a real specific question for you. Do you believe more in incremental growth as a good behavior and habit, or do you believe in quantum leaps? As far as our progress, the risks we take, how do you feel about being safe and secure and perhaps more probable? Or how do you feel about going for it all?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things come to mind, and I'll answer it, and you can tell me if I answered your question or dodged or hedged or whatever. You let me know.
Pivot.
Yeah, how I see it is, one, you think big and you act small, regardless. Like anything that you want to do, you think big goal, big dream. How are we going to change the world, right? Like anybody who's writing a book, you want it to be in the world. You want people to pick it up and read it and have an impact. And act small is like, today, go write a page. It's like that, down to the nutty bolts and just the dirt of doing the work, because a lot of people get lost in the big, and then they get stuck in that, okay, to do the big, I need to have venture capital, I need to have a publisher, I need to have a whatever, and then they never do. So it's dream big and act small, and that every day you show up and you do something for yourself to make it happen. The burning the boats version, I think that's more of a personality question. I think some people, the only way they act is to go all in, and you have to burn the boats, and that's your personality. And others can operate super fine, staying consistent on the evening and weekends to make it happen. I think this is why you get varied opinions, because it just depends on your personality. Just like people who quit smoking, do you go cold turkey and just stop? Or do you use Nicorette and you wean yourself off? What works? Well, both
Evan,
yeah.
What about, I know that I think I saw a few videos with you in a neck brace. You've had terrible setbacks, maybe terrible loss. Sometimes, those things are, you put your hand on the stove and you've been burned, and so you are afraid to try again. How did you manage through those things personally? I mean, that was a big setback. It might not have been a death, it might not have been an element, but what source did you pull from to get yourself through that and continue to do big things?
Yeah, so that referencing the time 3 years ago, I was on tour in the US, and I had a concussion. I fell, I broke my neck in 2 spots, had a concussion, and I committed to going live every day at the time when I was on tour. So I went live from the hospital bed.
Oh my God.
For 5 minutes. I was usually doing like hour-long lives. It's like I couldn't even see I have a concussion. I've never had a concussion in my life. Man, that sucks. I can deal with physical pain, but not being able to think clearly, wow, is brutal. But I went live for 5 minutes. It looked like I was dying, and then still made videos on YouTube. I was in a brace for 2 months at least. At the beginning, I had a giant scab right here on my forehead. And I looked at it, I was like, man, I'm going to make videos now with like this huge scab and neck brace, and I gained a bunch of weight because I can't even move. Like I can't accept those as reasons. So the 2 things I lean on whenever I'm up against something difficult, one is that I do difficult things. That scary, difficult, or hard are trigger words for me. If I said it, if I thought it, if I texted it, if I wrote it, I have to do the thing because I don't want to be the person who doesn't do scary, difficult, or hard. So if that's even part of the equation, then I have to do it. And then the second thing is service. Is that why am I doing this? Well, the intention is to serve and to help. I'm not doing this, like you guys are writing this book. It's not for you. It's not to say, oh, I've got another book. Maybe that's a tiny little piece of it, but it's more, okay, teenagers can read this and maybe be moved by this book where all the other books just didn't hit them for the right reason, and you can have a big impact. And so remembering that then gives me the courage to then show up and do the thing that I'm afraid to do. So I see the scary, difficult, hard as the push, go, and the service as the hug. Like, come on, you can do this. It's not just for you. Show up for other people. And some days I need the push more than the hug, and some days I need the hug more than the push. But it's always that combination of those two things that get me to then show up and do the thing. Because not showing up is not an option.
I want to ask one last question, and then I'll turn it over. You are a self-described introvert, and was able to break through that. Was there something that, in your opinion, caused you to shut down and not share in your life that you've told the story of becoming an extrovert? You know, if you wanted to be on camera and, change the lives of millions of people, you were going to have to be on camera. But was there something that caused you to shut down and become a self-described introvert?
So I still don't think I'm an extrovert. Even in settings like this, I still have to lean in on, I do difficult things and I'm here to serve. That coming live with you guys is a gift that I'm trying to help Ryan with, the community, and hopefully somebody learns from the message, but I still don't consider myself an extrovert. I have to bring it up. What helped me realize that was, hey, introverts still want to serve too. It's like, it's a human thing. Everybody wants to serve. And I used to feel like, oh, I'm not like Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban or these guys who are just love talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I couldn't win, but I realized I don't know how I'm going to win being an introvert, but I'm going to do my best because I still want to serve too. To the question of like, I think you're asking, how did I become an introvert, or whether
was there something that shut you down in your opinion?
Maybe. I mean, maybe we got to lie on a couch and we can have a conversation about it. I don't remember ever being the extroverted kid. Like my mom said something about me growing up that something changed, and maybe this was it. When I was 3, in school, I used to always hide under my desk. So we're in class and like, okay, kids, sit down. I would sit under my desk. And the teachers always thought that something was wrong with me and I was stupid and not interested and all of this stuff. And it turns out that I had a ear infection. I just couldn't hear. And I didn't know. I mean, I'm 3. I just couldn't hear as well. And so I had to go through, I had all sorts of health issues. I had to go through so many surgeries and earplugs and all this stuff. And I don't remember that at all, but my mom said she saw something change from me being like the happy-go-lucky kid exploring to the more scared, shy. So maybe I didn't ask about introvert-extrovert part, but maybe that was part of it. So yeah, I didn't even need a couch. That was great.
Well, thank you for your time, man, and really appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks for the questions. Those are great.
You bet.
Ev, I got one more question, then I'm going to summarize. How do you serve your network today? So you've established a great network. You've obviously served them in a meaningful way. Is there something that comes to mind as how you serve them that's one commonality across?
Yeah. So if you're looking like at scale, you think, what is your most important core value, right? What is your who? What was yours again, Ryan?
Wow, I should know this. Give me a second.
Oof. If you don't know it, you're not living it, Ryan. Come on now. Anyway, Ryan's gonna be eating that for a while.
Yeah, I am.
Mine is believe. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever your most important core value is, we go through it and build to serve. Like that's how you want to show up for others. So my goal is always to inject belief into people. It's always my intention. Sometimes I accomplish it. Sometimes I don't. but it's always the intention. That's at scale, right? That's when if I don't know you and I don't know how to help. If you know the person, you have some kind of context, I shifted to saying, how can I be their chief goal officer? So for the people in your network who you want to support, how can you be their chief goal officer? What are their goals and how can you help them? So, Nick, Book Thinkers, we had a IG Live together, and I pushed him to do more for more progress, because progress is his who. And then he started the podcast, right? I said, I'll be your first guest on your podcast. Because I know it's starting, it can be awkward and hard and whatever, right? It's like that. How can I support Nick in that moment? Hey, I'll be your chief goal officer. I'll be your first guest. When Ryan wrote, I don't even remember what Ryan said. It's like, yes. I didn't even remember what we're talking about. It doesn't matter. Ryan asked, yes. Like, if I could be your chief goal officer and help, because you're saying I need help with this. Yeah, I mean, as long as I physically can, yes. And so it's trying to understand the people in your network. What do they need? How can you be their chief goal officer? What do they care about right now? Because if I came to Ryan a year ago and said, hey, Ryan, why don't you write a book and I'll be a part of it? Maybe he's like, I don't care about writing a book right now, right? Like he doesn't care. It's not on his radar. Now it is. So the people who you want to stay connected to, macro, it's your who. Macro is your most important core value. You're a beacon of light for the world. Micro, on an individual basis, it's now understanding what do they care about and need the most. And can you help them, or can you introduce them to somebody who can help them?
I love that, because everyone comes from a place of need, and even as a minor influencer, Evan, people come to me a lot of times from a place of like wanting or complimentary, and the reality is all anyone actually wants is to be in service of others, built to serve, right? Dude, it's been such a pleasure. We're a couple minutes over. I'm going to quickly summarize. And thank you. Thank you you've been on calls with Nick and I probably 4 times in the last like 6 to 9 months. And I value your time. So I really appreciate you coming on. And we got to meet in person. So I don't know how you are with the COVID thing. I'll DM you maybe in the shower or something and ask. All right.
Let's go.
Your network supported your interests as you developed. Belief is the world's #1 problem. You can be pushed by those you have not met. You need to both think big but also act small. I think that's something you've been really good at, as well as Book Thinkers. When you committed, even in a neck brace, when you put something into the world that was important to you or others, you went all in and you still did it. I do hard things has been the foundation of your growth, a foundation. And then serve your network by being their chief goal officer. Did I miss anything?
I don't even remember what I said, but that sounds great, dude. That's a good mix.
All right, right on, man. Appreciate it, Evan.
Cool, man. I love it. Keep doing your thing and good luck with the book.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Thank you.
Much love. Take care.
All right. See ya.